Are you concerned at all about secret nuclear sites in Iran?
Secret nuclear sites?
Yes, that there might be some.
Not really. Can I tell you? They're exhausted. And Israel's exhausted too. And I dealt with both of them. And they both wanted it settled, both of them. And we did a great job, but they're exhausted. The last thing they're thinking about right now is nuclear. You know what they're thinking of? They're thinking about tomorrow, trying to live. It's such a mess. It's such a mess. The place was bombed to hell. And no, I'm not worried about it at all. And I'm putting out a little statement. I'm going to respond to the Ayatollah's statement yesterday that we won the war. Oh, God, we won the war. And I said, look, you're a man of great faith, a man who's highly respected in this country. You have to tell the truth. You got beat to hell. And Israel was beat up too. They were both beat up. And it was a great time to end it. It was quick. They got the hate out. There was a lot of hate, a lot of hate. It would be great if they didn't have that hate. But the last thing they're thinking about is nuclear weapons right now.
If you see Israel suddenly willing to say, yes, let's go to an immediate ceasefire, there's a reason for that. You know for sure that Israel wants the complete destruction of Iran. They've been saying that for decades. And certainly in the last year or so, and it's definitely since Trump came into office, they've been pressing really hard for that. They actually pressed hard on the Biden administration too. He just wouldn't go that far. Trump was willing to. He was willing to go to. Now, all of a sudden, Israel is like, yeah, that's cool. Ceasefire's fine. Why do you suppose that may be? We'll talk about the Israel side first, and then we'll talk about the Iranian side secondly. For Israel, they were heavily gashed. It was exposed that their Iron Dome system, David Sling, the Arrow system, the THAAD that we gave them, the Patriot system, this integrated air defense shield, which has some utility and can knock some things down, but is far, far, far from this impervious thing that was claimed. It was never true. We've shown you many times how that was the case. But now Israel has come face to face with the physical reality of it. They realized that because apparently the evidence showed that Iran had the capacity to maintain a steady state of a decent number of daily rockets and missiles coming into Israel, only a portion of which they could intercept. The rest of them were causing tremendous damage. I'm talking major research facilities hit, all kinds of hits in some of the built-up areas, whether that was from falling interceptor missiles that missed their target or errant Iranian missiles, because some of them are not very effective. So if they just put them in a general direction, many of them can hit buildings, etc. They were suffering civilian casualties. They can't stop them. And they say, we can't sustain this. We can't keep fighting this war that we can't stop, and you're going to suffer missile strike after missile strike after missile strike. So they had to have it. Additionally, they're also running low on interceptor missiles, period. So even what percentage they can intercept, they can see that over time they're going to lose even that because we can't replace them fast enough. That's a big problem. So when you see Netanyahu saying, okay, cool, we'll just have a peace then, that's only because that's what they have to have now. I have very high confidence that this is just a tactical pause for them to rebuild their capacity, to get some more missiles, to figure out what they can do to defend themselves better, and until they feel that they're capable, and then they would launch another one. There's no doubt in my mind that was on their minds and why they made that decision. The Iranian side, they were also getting significantly hit and damaged because their air defenses were shredded by the Israeli side. And so they were also getting hit hard. But you have to understand the mentality of the Iranian side and the mentality of the Israeli side are very, very different. For the Israeli side, we talked about this before. The Israeli side had to succeed. They had to win in order to come out successful on this. They had to either destroy the Iranian nuclear capacity or they had to have regime change. And if they don't have either of those, then they are not successful. They started a war and they didn't achieve their aims. The Iranian side, on the other hand, they have a different standard. They have to survive. They have to maintain some capacity to have this nuclear capacity, whether that's the reprocessing capabilities, the material that they've already reprocessed at 60%. Trump claims that they got rid of all that. They destroyed everything. The Iranian side and independent intelligence assessments are saying, yeah, we don't even know where 400 pounds of this reprocessed uranium is. We don't know how many other sites they have. Some of them weren't even hit. Did they move out some of these centrifuges before the bombs came down, as many have claimed? We don't know, but evidence is pretty high that they did. Or there are even sites that we don't know anything about. So the danger that Iran could be secretly going to a bomb now can't be taken off the table, and there's certainly a lot of motivation for them to do so. Whether they will remains to be seen. But they were taking a lot of hits, so they wanted to stop it. They didn't want to start it in the first place, but they sure did want to stop it. So they're cool with it, and that's why Ayatollah came out afterwards and said, "We won." Because in their mind, you understand this, they know that they were hit hard, but in their mind, they succeeded because just to not lose is victory for them, just like it was for the Houthis. They have the same mentality. They're still alive. So that's what you need to understand from the Iranian side. They wanted a ceasefire. They needed to stop the bombing, but their version of victory is a lot lower level than what the Israeli side had, and they didn't achieve it. So the Israeli side haven't succeeded. U.S. side also needed this ceasefire, just like we needed to end the Houthi strikes in the Red Sea after about a month plus of doing that, because Trump realized we'll never quell them, but we'll just keep spending $1 billion every week or two intercepting these missiles, and we'll never stop them. It's a never-ending situation. It will drain us of our resources. Same thing here, except on a higher level, because now that we're using a lot of interceptor missiles, and we're still apparently giving some to Ukraine. We don't have that many. I suspect that we're already into our strategic reserves. I would guess that we are, because I just don't think we've had enough to maintain the amount of missiles that have been used there. But that's where we are here. So now we've had this pause. So where it goes next is anybody's guess, because all three sides have some motivation for this to stay ceasefire. So my guess would be that it's going to stay in a ceasefire condition for a period of time, months, possibly years. Who can say for sure? But everybody's kind of licking their wounds and trying to figure some things out. So I think that probably that one may well be off the table for a while, but you can't rule anything out, because, you know, you get some hotheads acting some ways and taking some actions, and things could explode back up. This is the Middle East. So no guarantees at all on that. That's my best guess as of today. Last thing I want to look at here is on Gaza, because President Trump was also asked in the Oval Office about what the situation is with Gaza, because the claim is going to be that, well, we want a comprehensive ceasefire. First it was Iran, now we want to go to Gaza.
How close are you and your administration to a deal in terms of Gaza ceasefire right now?
Often asked, and I think it's close. I just spoke with some of the people involved. It's a terrible situation that's going Gaza, he's asking about. And we think within the next week we're going to get a ceasefire. And we're supplying, as you know, a lot of money and a lot of food to that area, because we have to. I mean, you have to. We're, in theory, not involved in it, but we're involved because people are dying. And I look at those crowds of people that have no food, no anything, and, you know, we're the ones that are getting it there. Some of it's being taken by some bad people, you know, once you give it and you give it out, and they're supposed to be taking care of the people, and they end up stealing the food and selling it. But we have a pretty good system now. But so we're helping with that. You see the lines of people that just get one meal essentially. But it's too bad other countries aren't helping out. Nobody's helping out. We're doing that because I think we have to on a humanitarian basis.
Nobody's helping out. Nobody else is helping. There are countries all over the planet screaming to help out. The only reason there has been so limited food is because Israel has blocked it. And when he says that we're getting food in, that is just simply not true. We have gotten a little bit of food in there only because of great pressure. It's a very little bit. But the people are continuing to starve. And it's not because Hamas is stealing the food, which is what he said there. It's because the Israelis have prevented it from getting in for the most part. But now then there's this real pernicious thing going on here. And unfortunately, I got to show you something else here. A lot of people won't like this in the West. But let's just take a look at it. What we know, this is in The Guardian. This is what we know about the killing of Palestinians at the food point in Gaza. The Israelis have taken over the distribution of food, and there have been, let me put this other headline up here. 400 Palestinians have been killed around the food aid hubs that the UN rights people are watching on this. There has been, and it's just daily, almost every other day. In fact, let me go back to that. Let me go back to that previous headline, because there was some here. This is last Sunday. On Sunday, these 31 Palestinians were killed as Israeli forces opened fire at the site of a food distribution center in Rafah. According to witnesses on Monday, another 3 Palestinians were killed by Israeli fire at the same site. According to health officials and a witness on Tuesday, 27 people were killed after Israeli forces opened fire again. This is a continuing situation going back and forth to where Israel has very limited food aid distribution points. And then when Palestinians come up there, then many of them are killed. It is the most torturous, barbaric action you can imagine. And yet, you didn't hear Trump say a word about that, did you? He didn't mention anything about that. 400 people killed trying to get food. And you know, because these things keep happening at the same food sites, and there's only a handful of them, and they know that their options are either come and risk being shot to death getting food, or don't go there and starve to death. I mean, that is unconscionable, but that is exactly what's going on here, folks. That is exactly what we're doing. And instead of just bemoaning and blaming Hamas for everything under the sun, we need to recognize Hamas is not the one shooting 400 people to death. That's somebody else over there. And we need to call that out. And if you consider that intolerable and something that should never happen, then take action. And if you don't take action, we have to be honest, folks. Then you have to say that apparently you don't find that intolerable. You don't find that intolerable, or you would take action. It's right there in the news. Of course, I'm sure he's getting the classified version too. And if he doesn't take action, that means he's fine with it. And I assure you, that's how it's being viewed in Israel. And they will continue to do these kind of barbaric things. Towards what end, I can't imagine. I guess they still hope that somehow they can end up killing many, many more people. And there's been a Harvard study out, I think, since I don't think we've mentioned this on the air here, that says that the actual number of dead is probably not 60, 70,000 like ironically, the Hamas medical information group says. Probably somewhere around 300 or more thousand that have been killed. I saw one study that suggested it could be over 400,000 dead and missing, et cetera, under the rubble of the entire Gaza Strip. Those are the realities, folks. Those are the realities. And if we don't take action, that means we tacitly condone it. History will not judge us well. Our souls and our conscience should not judge us well. One last point I want to talk about before we leave here, and that is, and I mentioned this before it happened with the Iranian situation, in the War Powers Act. There was a vote in the Senate a couple of days ago that the Senate rejected. I think this was the day before yesterday, that there was an attempt to limit Trump's ability to strike Iran again. It says the Senate voted on Friday, rejected a Democratic measure that would have forced President Trump to go to Congress for approval for another military strike against Iran. The resolution had little chance of succeeding in a Republican-led Congress that is split along partisan lines. So let me translate that into English for you, folks. That means that there is no longer the balance of power in the United States. There's no longer 3 branches of government that are constrained and limited by the other branches, because the war-making power has now been solidly placed in the pocket of the commander-in-chief, whoever it is. Trump right now, and any future president will have the same power. Whether Republican, whether Democrat, doesn't make any difference. You see that the legislative branch has denuded itself and said, we have submitted our power to the chief executive. It is now basically a monarch in terms of war-making power. It is in the hands of Donald Trump and Donald Trump alone. Nobody will stop him. He will be able to do whatever he wants. There was some complaining and moaning about a couple of members about this before it started, but no one took any real action. And then when somebody actually did try to bring legislation to the floor, there is so few people willing to do what's right, to follow their own constitution, that now then Trump knows for sure he can literally do anything he wants. And the reason why our founding fathers put that in the Constitution to limit the power, because they saw what happens when you get a man that has dictatorial powers, the ability to launch wars at his own discretion. It's catastrophic for the country itself. We wanted to avoid that, but we have forgotten it, or we have chosen to ignore it. And we're like, yeah, but I like my guy because he limits himself. He doesn't go big. It's not like he's going to attack China or Russia or something like that. We'll keep to something we can contain. That by itself is a problem, because what you're saying is that there's no moral code. There's none. It's pure power politics. I'll get what I want with power. And if it's just a little one here, it doesn't matter if we kill a lot of people. It only matters if we get what we want policy-wise. That by itself is a major siren and a red flag that should trouble all of us. It definitely troubles me. But even if you want to take that part out of it, this is potentially catastrophic for us at some point down the line, because some chief executive, whether it's Trump or whoever follows him, is one day going to get us into a war that we can't get out of. And it won't be a little one. It'll explode in our face. It'll blow up. And all of a sudden, we could lose a war that should never have been fought because we were unwilling to just follow our own law. So that seems like kind of a minor issue. It's almost like an asterisk to what's been going on with these bigger issues. I don't want to get so caught up in the weeds of looking at what has happened and what's likely to happen next that we miss the bigger picture. There is a dangerous move going on here, folks. Something we damn sure need to get handled fast, because once something like that happens, once you get that explosion in your face, you can't fix it then. Now it's just a matter of how much blood's going to flow, how much damage and destruction is going to result on us. We'll have to see how that happens too. I'd like to say I hope that we can change, but I mean, you see, they actually had a vote in the Senate and they collapsed and they forfeited, and we are where we are. We're going to keep bringing you the truth, folks. As long as there's a chance to change things, we're going to continue to bring you the truth and just pray to God that sanity can somehow emerge in some quarter while there's still time to do something about it, because otherwise it's going to be a bad situation. Thanks very much, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode back in Washington, D.C. next week on Daniel Davis Deep Dive.